Pardesi Beats.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Pardesi Beats Unplugged. And this week we just kind of shoot the shaz a little bit and also follow up a little bit about what we were talking about last episode about sports. There's been some cool revelations that happened, especially in the wrestling realm, after we were hyping up a certain pay-per-view. And we were like, oh, let's see what happens this weekend. And let's see what happened this damn weekend. Holy crap, what a weekend it was in the realm of AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And it was, let's just go into it, man.
That's Cushy
like,
being hyped up and trying to stay calm for YouTube, just so you know.
Yeah, I was like, I should probably introduce you guys too, actually.
You should.
There's M. Tadwal there. Raise your hand. Hey, there he is. And we have Patwan Singh as well. You can say hi, wave, a little wavy. Yeah, give it. Come on. Yeah, there you go. And myself, Kashwant Singh, here for you today as part of the Pardesi Beats Unplugged team. And yeah, let's just go right into it, man. Like, what did you think about the AEW pay-per-view? Like, it was nuts. There was like 5,000 surprises.
It was crazy. I never saw it.
I just appreciate that it was outside the norm, because usually there's one surprise and that's it. But there was all the surprises. There was actually three brand new debuts. Yeah. Which is like, okay, that's very different than what we're used to. And we were like, okay, after the first big debut of Adam Cole, we're like, okay, well, I guess that means no American Dragon Daniel Bryan. But boy, were we wrong.
Yeah. And I think you're wrong. The biggest debut of them all was Minoru Suzuki.
I guess as we're recording this, that match is happening on TV, so that's pretty exciting too. That big of a match happening on TV, that's again unorthodox, which I feel like is really needed for wrestling.
And this is like people who maybe aren't. This is like a wrestler's wrestling match, like who follow New Japan Pro Wrestling a little bit to really kind of know. Like, I feel like New Japan Pro Wrestling kind of got a pretty big spotlight being on the AEW pay-per-view. Kojima had a match with John Moxley or Dean Ambrose, whatever you know him as, and he's been tweeting about it. He's like, oh, I got like 5,000 new followers and stuff, right? So he had showcase on him, and he looked great. And he's one of the older guys who aren't a prime member of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they had a great match. As much as I really don't like Moxley his wrestling style, personally, like when he just wrestles normal matches, when he does like gimmick matches, he's amazing. But
that goes to your point. You were pretty disappointed. You're like, well, it's nobody big from New Japan, and then all of a sudden Suzuki comes out. You're like, well, okay.
And then the literally death embodied itself. Minoru Suzuki came out, and they proceeded to have a slap off with their forearms to the faces, which I'll tell you right now, Strong Style Wrestling is definitely Russell's my bricks, or whatever you want to say.
Again,
that's my style of wrestling.
As we preface this is Cushy trying to contain his excitement, so clearly he's
Russell's your bricks.
Yeah.
That must be very powerful for you if it was rustling your bricks.
Exactly. It is. It's extremely powerful. I would use different words. G.
Continue.
And, anyways, yeah, it was a crazy weekend there, and Daniel Bryan is all elite. Adam Cole's all elite. Ruby Soho, which I didn't really think anything crazy about her anyways, but it's still a name that's been known. Yeah.
And now rumors of Kevin Owens and possibly Sami Zayn.
Kevin Owens is doing some heavy underlying like
cryptic
changing
tweeting.
his Twitter location to match like the Young Bucks. That's going to be inevitable because
like, similar to Adam Cole, right?
It's the exact same history as Adam Cole and them, right? So we'll see what happens. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah. But again, like I said last show, it'll be interesting to see where and what the storylines are, because now the roster is very, very, very heavy.
It got some serious star power.
upper mid card, right? So it's like now there's a lot of people there. So hopefully those homegrown talents
The
don't get.
homegrown, yeah, exactly.
Hopefully Hulk Hogan
like-
comes in there next.
No,
You
thank
never know.
you.
You never know, brother.
Then I'll watch it.
Yeah, anyways, and then another news, since we'll follow up a little bit on the football side too, looks like Ronaldo got his number 7. So how do you feel about that, Mr. Patwan Singh?
I called it. I said it's going to happen. Like, I didn't say that it wouldn't happen. I was pretty nonchalantly saying it would happen. You can go back and watch. I knew it was going to happen because it's Ronaldo and the Premier League. Why wouldn't they make an exception for arguably the best player to come into the whole league? Like, you're taking attention off of other leagues and games to bring it to your league. Forget Man United. It's the whole league's got attention on it now. And, you know, when Ronaldo went to Serie A, their numbers went up. Their viewing numbers went up. People started cheering for Juventus because of Ronaldo for no other reason.
I took interest in Serie A just even watching highlights. I wouldn't have done it if he wasn't there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been watching. I like Juventus as well. Many of you have seen me with Juventus jersey. That's like my second favorite European team ever since Del Piero. I'm mixing all the names up. Del Piero and Pirlo and their era, and you know, been watching everybody there, even Nedved and those times. Like, it's interesting. And then they got relegated and came back, and it was insane. And Ronaldo, their numbers went even crazier, and people are hardcore Juventus fans already, and AC Milan, Inter Milan fans. But Ronaldo changed that whole league's stats, and now people are still watching. Like, even if your favorite player leaves a league or a team, you might be a fan of that team now and still watch because of other players. So what he did
that's
there,
exactly, that's the thing, because like when I watched Inter highlights, for example, there's I always don't pronounce his name correctly, Motaro, behind, who was always playing wing with Lukaku. Motaro. I don't remember the 100% the name, but I love watching that guy. Go, and like, you know, it's pretty cool. Like, now I'm like, oh, I want to see what Inter's doing because I want to see how this guy's playing.
Man, you're gonna choose for Inter, cheer for Inter now?
I'm not cheering. I just want to watch their highlights or whatever, right? Like,
watch
I don't
Juventus.
cheer for any of those teams. I do watch theirs too.
Oh, just only Juventus?
No, only Liverpool FC.
No.
Okay, so anyways, that's a little recap of some follow-up from what we talked about.
And a little recap of me and Christian's conversations, generally speaking.
Yeah, exactly. And so today we're just gonna kind of just you know, just
have a relaxed episode.
Just spitball, just kind of explore some questions, just kind of like we did before.
Speaking of spitballs, remember high school?
I do. Actually, I did that stuff like in junior high, but we used to do the wasps as well, where you would fold up the paper, take it in the elastic. And then, yeah, and then they were banned, but we still did them. But anyways, okay, cool. So let's go into it, and I'm gonna start locally, a local-based question for us. Okay. And either of you guys can answer first, doesn't matter. So the first part of the question is, what's your favorite local restaurant, and what's your favorite thing to order at that restaurant? Like, what's your go-to order?
Okay. Malik, should I go?
I know my answer, so if you guys need to think, you can.
I'll go. I'll get out of the way. I actually discovered something new, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So this place is going to get a shout out, but it's not unique. So I'm going to go with my uniquest, favoritist restaurant at Edmonton. And it's a Mexican restaurant called Uma, spelled Huma. And it's my absolute favorite because they have authentic Mexican food there. I believe the ownership or, you know, organizational people that are in the organization are Mexican as well. And to have that, here I am with a cliche Indian restaurants, an Indian person of Indian descent saying, oh, you know, Indian restaurants are all run by Indian people. So, but what I mean to say is, like, going into a Mexican restaurant and it not being a chain like Taco Bell or Mucho Burrito. It's
ma and pa shop.
Yeah, it's like a ma and pa shop, maybe a bro and sis shop, right? And their tacos, my favorite there are the El Pastor, which are incredible. Has pineapples on there, cilantro, good spice, and then just the pico and chips. Oh my goodness, they have so many good things. Where's
this place located?
Shout out to Ramnik first, because I feel like I took his job. We'll leave it at that.
If you want to do how Ramnik does it, you got to give a lot more.
No, then we will be banned. We'll be banned. But we'll get him on one day, maybe. Let's get him on.
I agree.
It's located on pretty much just north of Argyle Road and 99th Street. So it's kind of central, but south central. Sounds
Okay,
like a
cool,
Snoop Dogg
cool.
song, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that
And
little reference there was to Rumnik Food Reviews. If you guys, local fella who's who tries local cuisine or even part of chains, and then leave some of
reviews
the
them.
best. Yeah, let's leave some of the best reviews I've read in my entire life. Like the descriptions on them are absolutely amazing. I've never failed to enjoy a single review. Like they're
You
amazing.
probably feel like you're not enjoying, but experiencing the cuisine the way he did with his
Of course.
choice of words and colorful.
It's just he's so poetic in his word choice. It's hard not to be moved.
He's a very moving poet. Also, when I drive by certain locations, as he has mentioned many times, I always think of him. And sometimes, I'm on Facebook Marketplace, and this Funko Pop figure of a certain mascot or whatever you want to say pops up, and I always end up sending it to him every single time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a bumblebee. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, I'll give a shout out also to Boston Pizza, because they're my second favorite. It's a go-to, it's a staple, it's like a standard, but I got a lot of food allergies.
A very, very well-known local place.
Well, Canada-wide it's known, but it initially came, I'm trying to say originally and initially at the same time.
Yes.
It originally came from Edmonton. The first Boston Pizza was in Edmonton. And I don't remember the location.
Is that fact?
It's fact. Hashtag fact right now. Slap it on the screen. But yeah, so the first BP's is in Edmonton, and then they took off Canada-wide. But they have such a wicked selection of foods that I can eat. And just last week, I discovered that, and you would think I can't eat wheat, I'm allergic to wheat. And and I'm allergic to so many other things that are typically in gluten-free buns, right? Hashtag gluten-free buns. But their gluten-free bun for their burger at Boston Pizza was absolutely good to go for me. And so my mind was so happy because I was eating a normal burger after so many years of eating lettuce wrapped burgers. And, yeah, sure, there's other gluten-free buns, but I'm allergic to other things that are in them. And this one was like good to go. And I was just like, wow, I was so happy. And then they have cauliflower crust pizza. Man, they're dope. I love BP's.
And as we know from our previous summer treats episode, that food is something that you go pretty ham on, and so it must.
What it is?
It must be give you extra more happiness and joy in your life. I feel like you probably
it does.
a little kid moment back in you. That's probably what happened.
Well, I just want to bring up a story that we were in Banff one time, me, Pat, and a couple of the boys, and he discovered that Boston Pizza has a lot of stuff that he can eat.
That cauliflower crust pizza was discovered there.
That's and exactly what happened with his popsicles, and he would hoard the popsicles. He ordered like 3 pizzas on the spot. He wasn't gonna eat all of them. And once he was like, I just need to order these pizzas right now. So I think it's just his inner child coming out, to your point.
It's also like a scarcity thing, right? I was like, when will I ever get to have this again? Better get it now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's like take one home.
If that's how you want to justify it, but
I didn't eat all 3 of them, right? 2.5 of them there. Just saying. Anyways, who's gonna go next?
I'll jump in because I don't really eat out that much or go to many restaurants. I'd like to cook at home and experiment that way. But recently
that's local too.
That's
local. I guess. But recently because I have because I'm vegetarian, so it's kind of like restaurants. I like to explore more vegan and other options like that. One place that I've really been going to a lot and that I've been enjoying is Copper House.
Copper Branch?
Copper Branch, yes. I'm mixing up Copper Branch and Loma House. But Copper Branch. I'm really curious about like how they've found alternatives to like eggs and alternatives to like salmon, and I'm really familiar with all like the Beyond Meat stuff, but like I really enjoy how they've kind of upped it and put it into like a different tier.
They use copper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not much of a restaurant guy. Boston Pizza.
Well, what's the meal? Like, what's the meal there?
Honestly, I order something different every time because I'm kind of curious to see what this tastes like or what this combination tastes like. Like they have breakfast, they have bowls, they have. So I'm really not a go-to. I love
when restaurants have bowls and plates.
Yeah. Utensils are alright too. Utensils
yeah,
are
they're-
alright too.
They're good to have.
I think I've had they have a black bean burger or whatever, right?
Yeah, I always avoid the black bean burger because that's so like every place, every vegetarian option is a black bean burger. I'm like, that's
But I
fine.
like
then.
them. Yeah, theirs is good. It's a bit spicy too.
Yeah.
That one I've had
That-
and it's pretty good.
I like last week I had it was a salmon bagel with I don't even know. I'm like, well, this is different. And again, for me as a vegetarian, different is good.
Side
Because it
note.
gets-
Go
What?
ahead, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say it gets really boring just eating roti every day, right? So it's like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like to change it up a little bit.
I got
Oh, that
one
makes
last
sense.
place that we all love, and I'll say it after Cushy goes.
No, I was gonna say side note, since you talked about salmon, but obviously it's a vegan salmon. I just was in Calgary this past weekend and we ate at this vegan street house or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard about that place too.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called, Vegan Street House, and just on the Beltline in downtown. And we had the vegan fish and chips. I did at least, and then somebody else ordered them too. But man, they were good, like really good. And it's hard to even be like, hey, this is as a meat eater myself, I could actually compare it to fish, and it was pretty damn similar. Like, and I was pretty impressed with that place. Like, I'm gonna definitely go back there again next time I'm in Calgary. Like, that was really good. Just whoever is in Calgary and wants a little veggie option, or vegan option.
Okay. Is that your favorite place ever? Because you said local. So
No,
that was Calgary.
it's not.
So let's go into yours.
Calgary is like local because like I feel like Alberta is like local. I can answer anywhere in Alberta because it's pretty accessible certain areas in Alberta,
Mhm.
even though if it's a few hour drive. But for me, I think it's kind of obvious. If you,
I think we all know.
Yeah. What is it?
Padman Andy's.
Yes, you're correct. Padmanati's, baby. And downtown Edmonton. It's a vegan cuisine. It's like a fusion place, Indian, Thai, Chinese, like all these different styles mixed together. I discovered it through one good friend of mine who kind of just took us out one night and I tried it and I was like, oh my God, this is probably maybe even better than actual meat. It was so delicious, the foods. And my go-to dish.
I have
Yeah,
a
go
problem
ahead.
with Padman Andy's because everything tastes the same. It's
What?
rice, it's a protein, and it's like, well, all right, cool. So it's very
What do you mean? Their protein dishes taste different.
yeah, they're pretty bland to me. But anyways, I'm
offended.
I agree though. When I first discovered it, I'm like, yeah, this is sick. Like this is I would order it a lot. Then I think probably I overdid it, and then it's like everything kind of tastes the same,
Yeah,
same kind of
like-
spices. So yeah,
Well, like if you order the curry chicken, it's gonna taste this exact same the next time you order it, unless you mean it tastes like a different dish.
no, I'm just saying like the spices and stuff. It's all very, very similar. Not
Have you ever-
identical, but like
Have you guys
Similar
ever
to
tried?
what, though? Like the
just
other dishes they offer?
yeah.
Okay.
For me at least,
So
Maybe it's the spice
well, I mean,
that's over shooting the taste buds there.
possibly.
no, it depends what you order because like some of them, there's when they call it spicy, it is a bit spicy, right? And then so like okay, so then I'll go into like what I actually get, right? My go-to is the brown rice and ginger beef. That's like always for sure I'm gonna get, and it's so good. And there's two locations of Padmati's. One's like in the south side, just a little bit south of White Avenue, and that's more of like a kind of just come order, sit if you want, and then quickly leave, right? It's more almost like fast foodie, and that's not in my experience. That one is not as good as the actual restaurant location in downtown, which is kind of close to Rogers Place. Now that one is like where everything tastes amazing, and I haven't had that issue what Malik's talking about, but I don't overeat it, right? Like I'll go, it's still like when I go, it's like a treat, right? It's not something I'm gonna like, hey, I'm
Well,
gonna
I
go
think
like every week.
that's the problem being a
whatever.
vegetarian eating out. It's like, oh, I found this place. I'm gonna eat it
Yeah, you can
exclusively,
eat
and then
eat
I
it up forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
what I do with the restaurants too. Like you saw with the pizza that day at Boston Pizza when we were out.
Well,
I'll
you're
find a place
excited
and I'm
'cause
there
you
for
can
like
eat
2
it.
months straight. Yeah.
Yeah, yours is different because you have like 1 million allergies. So like when
1
you
million
find something, it's
seven.
even next in this next level, right?
Yeah.
But then so I get like those two ginger beef and their brown rice, and then I'll usually complement it with like their coconut chicken curry or whatever. And that that has a bit of spice and kick, and for me that's enough. Like it'll get my nose running because I'm very entry level with spices, so that does the job for me. Like, and
That explains your shirt.
No, this is advanced levels. This is like top tier winning, which is what Padmanati's is doing. They're top tier winners. And yeah, then like I've had like, you know, their veggie dishes. You can get really whatever. It's pretty. They're usually pretty solid. Their noodles are super spicy, I find, if you want the spicy ones. And yeah, I pretty much like everything off their menu, but I generally go with those two, like fake meats, proteins, and then brown rice, and then just add whatever else you want, and it's always a good time there. So
hey, speaking of fake meat, has anybody ever tried beef flavored chicken?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I haven't either. I just thought I'd ask.
Anyways, is that a thing? Or
no,
are you just making some? Okay, okay, that's exactly what I was thinking that you may have done.
I just wanted to see what you guys would have done in terms of a reaction.
Yeah. Have you ever had beef flavored beef?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to add last minute or any special.
Yeah, I do. I want to give a shout out to Denny's, because we've all spent. We've all lived. We've all rented time in that location for many years, and
yeah,
my intestines and my digestive system is very happy that I haven't had Denny's in a very long time. Like I remember having it after a very long time, and my stomach was like, no, not again.
You know what, I feel kind of like, okay, so check this out, tell me if I'm right or wrong. So I feel like maybe I caused that problem for everybody, because I was sort of taking everybody there, because that was we were DJing, right? And all the DJs in Edmonton, like as many different companies as we have, we're all buddies, and we all ended up like, you know, Scammy was DJing somewhere, Palde guys are DJing somewhere.
So it's it's a lifestyle, because it's like, where are you gonna go eat in Edmonton that's open at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. after you're done DJing, like a reception or party, like or whatever, right? Only place open was Denny's, like that you could actually go physically sit, right? You can't.
Yeah, or McDonald's.
I'm gonna go to I was gonna say you're not gonna do that at McDonald's. Yeah.
All the original boys, like from back in the day, up until I don't know about what it is nowadays, because I kind of left the game, but
I remember it got to a point for us, we would walk in and they would already know what we were going to order. That's how often we were there. It was or the one time Cushy laughed so loud that everybody in the Denny's stopped and came out of the kitchen. Yeah.
To look at me.
Yeah. Why this man was laughing.
Our partner Simran Karal for that. So yeah. There's been some good times there. Also, some.
That's the thing, right? Denny's was a good time. It wasn't
very fun times,
and their food was great. Like for that time of night and that level of hunger, the food hit the spot, and there was a huge variety.
Fries can never go wrong.
Seasoned fries, their massive burgers, their pancakes,
big glass of chocolate milk.
Yeah,
milkshakes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Denny's spot. Shout out to Denny's for all the gig workers who are out there.
And Denny's, if you want to sponsor us, we can come and do the show out of your booths.
Yeah, and you can feed us pancakes or whatever you want as well. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Instead of food and being local, let's talk a little bit about what your guys' favorite trip has, like. What is your favorite trip that you ever had? Like, and it's not gonna be like. It can be like in one flight, whereas like you visited like a few different areas, or it can be just one specific spot. I'll let you guys kind of figure that one out. And like why was it like your favorite trip? Like explain a little bit about like how you felt and what you saw and different things like that.
I have a pretty easy answer here. My answer is gonna be New Brunswick. I went there one time for my graduation for university, and I found it. I'm not an outdoors guy. I don't like outdoor things. We've definitely know that, as we discussed over many episodes of Pardesi Beats Unplugged.
You're a cat, remember? An indoor cat.
Indoor cat. That's my rule. But New Brunswick for me was really cool because it was. We always talk about how BC is always very beautiful, very green, and mountainous and all that nice scenery. So for me, New Brunswick had that, but it was also like super empty. So I don't like crowds. I don't like crowded places. For me, that was awesome. Plus, the ocean was, for some reason, oddly enough, as Kush has said, nature is very peaceful. The ocean for me was really peaceful. So for me, just like discovering that side of me and like exploring, like, hey, like nature is pretty cool, and New Brunswick is beautiful like British Columbia, but also like open and not
It's secluded. It's nice because there's not too many people, and for an indoor cat like you, that's
yeah.
probably something you really enjoy, right?
And for the viewers on or the listeners on podcast, head over to our YouTube channel to see a little bit of a surprise that let's say DJ Share pulled out.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
okay.
for you, the Billy.
And then, so was there like a specific spot there that you were just like, or were you just randomly like on like a popular pier or something, or?
Yeah, well, it was a family trip, so those aren't always the funnest. But
Yeah.
my sister was like, we need to find a lighthouse. Like we're in Eastern Canada, like we all think of like Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia, or like those stereotypes growing up as Canadians. So we're like, we need to find a lighthouse. We need to find we finally found one in the middle of like some random residential area in Fredericton.
That's what it's
And
like.
that's what was so cool about it. Cause like there was a house, there was a lighthouse, and then it like was backed onto the Atlantic or an ocean.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was pretty sweet. And just chilling there was like pretty awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it has maybe Victoria vibes, but like way
Yeah.
stronger because
Yeah.
it's all kind of like that, right? It's much larger space.
The
Yeah,
Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean have totally different vibes in terms of the
Yeah.
water vibe when you're there, and the
Also,
color of
like,
the sky.
yeah, the colors, like the houses there, like when we think of like stereotypical Eastern Canada and like Maritimes, I'm like, yeah, these like rainbow colored houses, like these look awesome. It was like they're very small, very quirky, very quaint, and like I just enjoyed the vibe there. It was very chill.
That's cool. Yeah.
yeah. I actually want to definitely head out there when it's obviously a little bit more safe to travel recreationally. So yeah, I keep hearing great things about like the whole area there on the East Coast. Like it's very scenic as well. They have some pretty solid hikes too.
It's the original found land. There's a little Easter egg there.
Newfoundland.
Yeah, the last territory to join Canada's Confederacy, ironically, but it was the first found land by the colonizers, right? And so, it has a lot of historic, monuments and buildings there. It was discovered by the Western Europeans in, you can argue to say just the very late, almost early 1500s. And from there, the rest is history, as we know. But that's a pretty dope pick, I would say. I lived in Victoria, so I know exactly what you're talking about, but from the Pacific Ocean side of things. And Victoria is actually it's quite old as well. Not that old, but it's old. And so those vibes, like Cushy knows too, he's coming chilled with me when I lived there.
Yeah, that's why I was like thinking about Victoria when he was kind of describing. I'm like, that sounds a little bit like that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Cushy, you want to go next? Then I'll go, or
yes, I can go. My pick is it's yeah, Malik just said it in the chat. He said Tokyo. It's not specifically Tokyo, but it is definitely Japan. I took a 3-week trip out there in January 2019, so a couple of years ago now, and it was one of the best places I've ever been, without a doubt. Like I could see myself living there. I think we talked about this before, but like I could see myself moving there, living there, and being totally cool in that culture and that lifestyle. Really it's really cool because like it depending on where you go and stay. Like in Tokyo, it's like very urban, big city life. City's not really ever sleeping. But one of my most favorite things there is that you can walk / take the train like everywhere you need to go, really. Like if it's within the city, right? There's like their train system is insane. Like it's so good. Like you can find trains anywhere to get you wherever you want and then walk everywhere. So it's like seeing people drive or even like taking like an Uber or something, like that's like a luxury there, right? Like you have to pay a lot of money to hop into a taxi.
Remember Ubering in London? Yeah, same idea.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So like it's super expensive for those things, and then everything is really clean. The streets are really clean. And before even COVID was a thing, they were wearing masks in public. Like a lot of Japanese folks do that.
And they
especially
take
if they're
care of
not
their spaces too. Like they'll pick up litter, random litter and things.
exactly. That's what it's, like when I was saying it's clean, it really is like because they won't open a bag of chips on the train. They won't do that, right? They'll like wait. They'll take it home or something, or like they'll give you a little baggie if you go like to grab some food for somewhere. They'll give you a baggie so you can store it in your backpack or whatever, right? So they're always trying to promote like being very earth conscious and not like littering and not creating a mess. And then yeah, like they wear the masks like even if they're just feeling a little bit unwell, just a normal common cold, because if you're on a train like you're pretty jam packed in like the rush hour times. So like it makes a lot of sense too. So they're pretty considerate in that sense. And then it's really fun. Nightlife is really good. Food is absolutely phenomenal. And that's just Tokyo, right? And then as you go like Kyoto, for example, a little bit more old school. No, the trains aren't everywhere, but you can hop on a bus and go to places. That was like probably my favorite place for sure in Japan because that old school vibe was definitely my thing. It's a lot more quiet and a little bit more serene, and I personally appreciated that a bit more. And I did something not very touristy, a hike that wasn't very touristy, kind of based off a pilgrimage that they have in the West. It's like a very long pilgrimage, but they have like a replica of it that you can do in a day and then just a short hike in Kyoto. So we did that, which was really cool. And then we have Osaka. Osaka is just like another Western city, almost pretty much. It's nothing too different. And then they have, like their castle, museums, a lot of histories there. I went to a Universal Studios there, so that was really fun. And then we went to like some.
Did you go any wrestling matches there?
Yeah, I did. I went to said New Japan Pro Wrestling, their version of WrestleMania, the Wrestle Kingdom, and I had the time of my life. And I even met some people that I later met on the trip. I was
gonna throw in Tinder there just because you had a little gap, but I decided I'll be nice to you. But now I'm not. Tinder. You're like, oh, we met up with some people that I saw, and then I was gonna throw Tinder. I was like ready to throw it in there. Anyway,
it's almost the same thing. I saw them at the wrestling thing, and then you go to a pub crawl and you see them. So yeah,
that's cool. Regardless,
anyways,
it's an experience. Like when you go to what another country and experience their version of what maybe we like over here, and see the differences and similarities, and you can fan out with their fans. Which is just being hype, and it's a very similar experience, but in a totally different culture.
Especially, exactly. With Japanese culture is different, right? Like it's a little bit more quiet and tame.
Yeah.
And then even during that wrestling, the whole event, Wrestle Kingdom, it was getting loud in there. It was getting pretty loud in there, which doesn't always happen with Japanese wrestling. So that was pretty unique. And then even seeing like some old school villages like that are made out of like the like hay and straw and stuff, like up and deep in the mountains where it's still snowing. Checked some of those out too, right? So it was a crazy experience. You can really do everything there. It has everything you want, and the gardens are absolutely like just breathtaking. And there's so many gardens there, like you can just access them and kind of get your peace of mind. I think it'd be a pretty great place to live. But it's hard for foreigners to get us to get into Japan. They make it a bit tough,
especially now with COVID.
Well, of course.
Yeah. No, like they're extra strict, I heard. So
yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Japan number one.
Japan number one. Okay, well,
I mean, talk about anime culture.
Yeah, and those stores you went to, you bought all those like Star Wars things.
I have so many action figures. I bought you some stuff and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, so pretty cool. Japan would be an experience. As a side note, do you know me and then our mom and dad, we've all been to Japan?
No.
It was only in the airport, but we were there.
Yeah. I know Hong Kong, but you know what's cool too? There's they have like a Gurdwara in Tokyo too. It's like not the legit buildings, you kind of rent out a space, but still I was there nevertheless. So I was there on New Year's Day, so I got to actually go there, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and say what's up to Gordon. So
yeah, Gordon lives in the Gurdwara.
Yeah,
but so that's a hard I mean, I have a hard time picking one place because I've had so many different, I guess you can say, and it's not like I traveled the world or went anywhere crazy, but one was kind of a spiritual trip. Kushi, you were there for that too. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was dead there.
You almost did die there. Like you were definitely expelling different.
My soul was dead.
Your soul was dead and your body was crushed, not literally, but it was pretty mangled. What it was, and this is not my absolute, like, if I had to pick one trip, it would be this one. That's why I'm going with it. But I got to give a shout out to Mexico after, and it's literally based around the food. So I mean, maybe there's a problem I have with food. Let's talk about that later. But anyways. So well, and ironically, when we went to this trip, the food situation was even funnier, which I'll talk about. But we went to a Sikh temple called Hemkund Sahib, which is up in the Himalayan mountains. And this trip involves another fun feature because it's part of that trip, as you mentioned. But Hemkund Sahib, which is, again, like I mentioned, a Sikh temple up in the
Gurdwara.
The Gurdwara, yeah. It's up in the Himalayan mountain range area, not like high up in the Himalayan mountains, but high enough. And then
it's pretty high.
It's pretty high,
but the elevation like actually to get there. No, of course not. But like the drive there was absolutely insane. Like our drive,
we could have died, man. In that on that drive.
Yeah, until you drive like a mountain road in India, don't ever
think you know what you're doing.
Don't drive a road.
Or you try to hike up, that road as well. Like you're looking down and all you see is just.
Okay, I'll tell you about that because I was on a horse and they go on the edge.
Exactly. Yeah, same thing. Same.
So maybe you should explain how we got there for the drive first. A little bit about that.
The drive.
Or from Rishikesh to Govind Ghat, right? That was a little bit of experience.
Yeah. So okay. So there's different stops when you go up to the Gurdwara, but it's the Gurdwaras at the very. There's so many Gurdwaras on the way, but the Hemkund Sahib Gurdwara, which is Punjabi or for Sikh temple. I was thinking there's another word, but anyways, Gurdwara was right at the top. There's a Gurdwara in the middle, and there's a Gurdwara at the bottom, and then the middle bottom. Those are like half day, one full day trips. So it takes you a day to get to the middle, takes you another almost half day to get to the top. And then coming down, you can do it in a day because you're just coming down. But that's hard.
There's time restrictions. Like you're actually not allowed to.
You're not allowed to stay overnight.
Times from the midpoint to the end points. So
like
that's why most people will stop over at the.
Yeah.
It's actually sooner than that. They send you back at noon.
They sent us back at noon because of the weather that day. It was raining like crazy, and so the oxygen levels drop up
foggy. It's super foggy,
super humid, super foggy. Like I almost felt like I was going to die, and that's simply because I couldn't breathe. And it was like literally, I'm not exaggerating or saying that in a nonchalant way. Like I literally thought, okay, I'm done. Like because I couldn't breathe when we got up to the top. It was such a crazy experience, and I was being careful because I was actually on the horse. But if I had been hiking that, I probably would have passed out and who knows, right? But anyways, that was the most memorable trip for me because I got to have that sort of spiritual experience. And it was me, Kush, and our other friend, Manpreet. And we went up, and when we got to the very, 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 very top, which was Hemkund Sahib itself, the Gurdwara, after recovering my state of mind and I guess becoming conscious again, like I was so messed up. This is what happened. Okay, I went to go Matha Tek. Matha Tek is, for those that are not Sikh or Punjabi, is when you bow down at the temple. I went to Matha Tek and I had my North Face hiking backpack on still. And when I'm Matha Tek, it slammed me in the back of the head while I'm Matha Teking. I'm so out of it, and I was so cold because there was so much like moisture, and I had to wrap myself in 3 blankets, like 3 heavy fleece blankets, 3 of them, and they have them up there for sangat or people that come to the temple to wear to warm up, because it's pretty cold up there. And I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna pass out here. Sure, this is fine. This is an acceptable location for this to happen. And but then I just ate some candy, tried to get some energy, and eventually I was okay. But then, Kush, you didn't do this, but me and Manpreet did this. We went outside to the Sarovar, which is like a holy lake or holy body of water at the Gurdwara or Sikh temple. And this is a natural mountaintop glacial lake. Okay. It is cold. You're up in the mountains already. So this is stuff that Will Hoff does, like that Iceman guy that I told you guys about in one episode before. Shout out to him. I think he's pretty dope. So me and Manpreet, we went in. They had these concrete steps in there with chains you can hold to go in, but then they stop. There's like 3-4 steps, and then it's just jagged rocks. And we went in and we dipped our bodies in there, and we're like shivering and like we're just like, oh my god. But it was so crazy, and I know the scientific reason why, but it was so crazy when we came out and we finished that, everything was warm. Because scientifically speaking, that water was so cold that when we came out of it, everything was warmer in comparison. And I stopped shivering. I felt normal. I was like, yo, I can run. I was hyped. I felt like $1 million. And it was
you were love charged.
I was. Bad location, bad reference, but yeah. So at the end of the day, like that was probably my most epic experience for a trip. In that same trip, after many thousands of years, you would think this Manchester United fan would have been in Manchester watching a game, but no. And this whole trip was in 2016, so it's not long ago. But part of that trip on the way back, all of us, I'm speaking of me, but all three of us, including Kush, were in Old Trafford for the very, very first game, season opener, home game, where we got to see Zlatan score 2 goals. And that was insane, man. Being at Old Trafford, that was just nuts. Even as a Liverpool fan, you gotta say
that was amazing. That was
like I would never cheer for Liverpool, but I'd like to see what it's like in Anfield. Like I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's like and I have to give you have to give props and respect because like, man, like that is like I've always wanted to do that, right? I've always wanted to go to a game in Europe, a football game, because like that's some of the most passionate fans in sports probably. Yeah. And the most rowdiest, and then that whole atmosphere was insane. And then of course Ibrahimovic, right? Like who, like how do you not love that guy? It doesn't matter what team he's playing for. And then he puts on, he gets 2 goals, right? Yeah, because they think he's cocky, but he's just hype. He's just unreal. Yeah. So
yeah, he scored 2 goals that game, and I
unbelievable.
Think, I think the score was 2-0, was it 3-1? I can't remember.
No, it was 2-0.
It was 2-0. Yeah, and I bought an Ibra jersey there, and you have a scarf for memories that has Ibra's face on it.
Yeah, and then I made a face too because he's like in the scarf, and I was like with the scarf beside my face.
Un momento, por favor. I will show you guys. But
yes. Those who are watching on YouTube can see it.
Yeah, but at the same time, that was a pretty epic trip. It was one of those trips for me. But I gave a shout out to Mexico, and that's simply because I could eat everything there. Everything. And the Mayans, because we were in the Mayan Riviera, they have a god of corn, or like a deity of corn that represents food and that kind of stuff. And I was like, yo, man, like this guy's my boy. Like I need to buy his little we had a figurine or statue of it. I was like, I need to buy that because I can't eat wheat. So one of my only main grains is corn. So I was like made in heaven for me right there for the food. But yeah, so let's get some other questions.
Man,
because we don't have a lot of time. But I am going to show this picture, Kush. And
do you have it?
I do have it, and here it is, and I will put it up.
And look now, everyone. And 1, 2, 3, look. Oh, yeah, there you go. No glare. Oh, you should zoom in a little bit to Manpreet's face too after. Yeah, now move it to the right. Wow, amazing. Such a beauty. Hopefully everyone got a chance to go to YouTube and look at that. It's actually extremely sexy.
Shout out to Manpreet Singh and the Unbox with Sings. There you go.
Yeah, shout out to them both. And so now what we're going to kind of jump into is the next question I have for you. And this is like personal for you. Thank you.
That's from Old Trafford
as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that as well.
No
so the next kind of question I have for you guys is a little bit more personal, and maybe you can go a little bit of an anger rant if you want. But what do people most misunderstand about you? Like what's that kind of like one thing that irks you the most of when people don't like understand like something about yourself or whatever it is? And I'll go first.
Sure.
Generally, I noticed this happening not with too many folks, but when it does, I'm like, well, okay. But it's like, so when you meet me and you like hang out with me, you might know that there's a lot of high energy there, and I can be very loud, very
Rowdy.
hyper, rowdy, and then so sometimes I'm not like that, and that's a surprise, I think, to some folks.
His name is Kushwant. Sometimes he's Udaswant or Uruswant.
Udaswant. That's my alter ego, but I'm not Udas in those moments, anyways.
He's just Chupwant.
I'm just Chillwant. You know,
okay.
I'm just like, you know, I'm copacetic. I'm just like, life's just, you know, it's there, it's going, and you know, I'm chilling.
Doesn't
like,
that go back
crazy.
to that theory I shared last time of being like that line of happiness and insanity and then just being good? Like, isn't that what that is?
Of course. It's being
and people can't handle when somebody's like that. They think they're sad.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I'm just like, I'm not, nothing's wrong with me. I'm just like, I'm just chilling and minding my own business.
Yeah, you're just,
you know, like, I don't need to be, I don't need to be super hyper in this moment, right? Yeah. So sometimes like friends will ask me, is like, what's wrong? Or like, what's going on? Like even at work the other day, I had one of the senior members of the staff, like she came over to talk to like the team lead and some other girl. And then my desk is there too. She was just chatting, and you know, sometimes I'll hop into those chats, but I was like doing work, like doing like some counts, and you know, when you're focusing on something, sometimes you just tune everything out, right? Which is what I did. And then later in the day, she sends me like this really serious message, like, "Hey Kush, I just wanted to check in with you. Like, I just really want to make sure everything's okay. Like, is anything wrong? Like, you're usually so outgoing and like, you know, blah blah blah." And I was just like, yo, it's just like, I'm just chilling, man. Like, I don't have to always be like, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, let's go. And I guess maybe I've done this to myself. Because I do get very super high. Like my highs are quite high. If you get to know me, like they're pretty next level. They can
ride the wave, everybody. Ride the waves.
Yeah, like literally everyone thinks I'm drunk, but it's just me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just find that sometimes
he's just Kush.
Yeah, and then sometimes Kush is just chilling. All right, just let him chill. Let him just, you know, not have to be like, ha ha ha, yeah, let's go. Sometimes I just want to, you know, just flatline that little bit, you know, stay steady, and that's it, I guess. That's what irks me. That's what people misunderstand about me. I'm a human being. I can be normal. I don't have to be hype all the time. Just let me be me.
Okay, there's the promo right there. That's the promo.
Just drop. You need a mic to drop now. That's all. You just drop the mic and walk out.
Just you drop your head. Yeah, there. Don't drop that. But yeah, so yeah, Malik, go next if you want.
This is one I don't really have an answer to this, because I feel like mine's the opposite of Kush.
If you don't answer it, I'm gonna answer it for you. So you better.
I'm gonna say I'm the opposite of Kush. So when you hang out with me, I'm also very, very, very quiet until I open up, and then I'm like Kush and too loud and annoying. But I'm very slow to warm up, and I feel like people always mistake that as like, oh, he's like mean or like a jerk, or he's like really, really shy or just awkward. I am awkward. I'll give you that. But like,
well, the right term that everybody sort of said is emo. You missed that one, but yeah.
I like to say I'm slow to warm up, so I think that's kind of.
I don't think that's a term he's going to use as a. You know,
I know. I'm just
profession.
But yeah. But you know the best food is slow cooked, Malik. The best food is.
Wow, very wise words.
He's tying it back into our food talk. That's what he's always thinking about food. Pat's always thinking.
That's clearly my new reputation, which is probably going to be my answer right there.
I feel like at times I can be outgoing, but for the most part, I like to identify as being introverted, but it's not necessarily like a bad thing.
Yeah.
There's places and situations where I'm very outgoing, like when we throw our friends through tables, things like that. There's certain environments where I can be rambunctious, but for the most part, I just like to, I enjoy sitting. And that's the thing. People think I don't enjoy sitting and being like quiet in the background, but that's just, I like being chill all the time.
Yeah.
You need to put up a picture of the Watcher from Marvel Comics here. That's his job.
Watching.
Yeah, he's watching. Yeah, okay.
Everything.
So mine's very similar too, but mine's a little bit different because let's put it this way. So I used to be very similar to Kush, like loud and introverted. Outroverted, extroverted. everything that's outwards is what I'm trying to say. And I used to be that because my job was that. My things that I was doing and interested in were that, which was DJing and things like that. And it was often like a bit of a performance when it was in those environments, right? But I'm actually a very quiet person in by nature. Like I'm kind of like lone wolf, tiger, alone in the jungle. That's my mentality.
Tiger
right?
something energy bar.
Yes, exactly. If you know, you know. You know the abbreviations for if you know, you know. I'll throw them up. So that's sort of how I vibe. I obviously also survive in a pack environment, and I like being with certain people that I would consider a pack, right? But
Oh,
there you go. There's one of them. And the thing is, with the right people, I'm loud. I get hyped up. I'll say anything. But I think my, I guess, misconception of me from others, what I get is I'm very mean, and I'm very scary, and I'm pretty much an ass, right? And that actually is, I think, something based off of our genetic makeup, because people say that about my dad all the time. They're so intimidated by him because he just has that look, and I guess I have that look too. So when
You have
nowadays,
you have the Ice Cube eyebrows. That's the issue. Like you just always look angry.
well, people used to say I look like him. I don't think so, but I mean, whatever, right? But the thing is, that Ice Cube look, or that, you know, that look that makes people like, oh man, this guy's gonna like, he's pissed. And that's sort of my, like, I think first thing. But that's if you see me not being on. If you just see me sitting there, I'll look like that. Like I remember I used to work in the mall like a while ago doing like sales and stuff for telecommunications companies, and the old Caucasian lady walked by, and I'm saying that on purpose, not to be reverse racist or racist, but I'm trying to get you to picture an old, like golden days old elderly lady, like
Betty White.
There you go, Betty White type of lady, right? And she walks by and she's looking at me. She's like, "Smile, life is short." And I was like, I'm good, man. Like I'm actually all good. And that's when the original Motorola Razr came out, and I was like playing with it. I was just like, I'm looking at this thing, and she's like, "Smile," right? And then the Motorola calls me fat by calling me "Hello Moto."
Hello, Moto.
Yeah. And then
Which
so
Moto in Punjabi language is fat. Calling
yes,
you fat, essentially.
yes.
Just so people know.
Sure, there is a feminine color on that fat. It's calling you fat in a feminine tone. But yeah, so that's my other thing. And nowadays, especially, it's coming out again because I'm also in a very observational point in my life where I feel like I've done all the stupid, loud things that I wanted to do. And that was more because I wanted to do them, not because I, you know, am that way. But I'm kind of going back into the lone wolf mentality, state of mind, you know, extrovertedly showing that I'm an introvert, but in fact, those that know me, you know me, right? So yeah, man, I think that's my whole thing that answers your question, perhaps.
So what was the misunderstood part?
They think I'm angry, right? They think I'm upset or angry or not happy. And the thing is, like, and sometimes my voice, because the way the frequencies of my voice, people think I'm being upset and angry because it's more in the mids and lows, right? They're like, "Oh, you're being monotone. You're mad at us, or you're mad at me, or yo, like, why you being such a whatever?" And I'm like, "But yo, like, I just talk like this. And if I haven't been talking for a while, and this is real science, boys and girls, if you haven't been talking for a while, your vocal cords here, the muscles, they kind of just chill, and they don't have that elasticity to them, as Malik knows because he's a singer. That elasticity allows you to fluctuate your tones and make different frequencies with your voice. But if mine's usually just like this, then people are like, okay, this guy's, you know. So if I'm not talking and I suddenly talk to you and the thing, you know, the voice is still like in this sort of wake up sound. And then that's the other thing. A lot of people are like, yo, did you just wake up? I'm like, no, man, it's my voice. Leave me alone. You know, so those are some of the things that all kind of encompass to the same, I guess you can say, nucleus, have the same nucleus. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Malik said it best. Resting bitch face. So
yeah,
like, I actually I know I have that too. Like especially when I'm focused or even just walking out in public. Like if I, you know, looking where to go, I'm generally like
Yeah, you know,
Like this. Like you have to be on the YouTube to kind of see like what my face is right now, but this is what it is.
everybody tune in on YouTube. Everybody do your RBF. Ready, set, go.
And then when I'm focusing,
I don't.
when
I
I'm
don't have an
putting
RBF.
pressure,
I'm
it's like
always like
this.
laughing. That's my
See,
issue.
like
I'm
now
always
when I'm
like,
actually focusing, I look like
Yeah, yeah. When I'm focusing, I'm like this.
yeah. And then if I want to pretend I'm our father, I'll go like this.
He has bifocals. That's why. Yeah.
Anyways, so
So,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
oh, cool. I think we might know what each other are saying. We might be related and have that similar
Oh my god,
perception
really?
of us. Yeah, maybe we should do a
Oh,
DNA test to see if anything matches.
ancestry.com.
Well, the shirts don't match. Mine's over there and over there, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, mine's
Yeah.
better though. But
Better
yeah,
than
so
toilet paper. Anyways, go on.
yeah, that's I think I do. There's a lot more we can ask, but I'm gonna save it for another time.
I'm going to
because
ask you a last question as a closing, just to throw you all off your game.
Sure, you've been doing.
do I need to get my tinfoil hat again like last time?
Yeah.
No, this is not even anything like that, but it's just a random question. Okay. This is just, it's actually a very simple, nothing behind it, nothing brain twisty. What's your, okay. So, and I'm going to pick you. I'm not going to let you decide who goes first. So we're going to start with Malik. What's your favorite place to just chill in Edmonton? And you can't pick home.
I don't leave the house, so.
Oh, you got to pick a place. Like if you're leaving the house, where are you going?
For me, it's usually just driving around. Like I've made a habit of just going onto the Henday and ripping around on the speed limit, because everybody that knows how I drive like an old lady. But just cruising in my car with a podcast on is kind of my safe space.
He cruises on the lowest speed limit, which is now 40, the lowest unposted speed limit. So that speed limit. But yeah, so that you
that's a
kind of
maximum actually, so it's not lowest.
Well, the lowest, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, the maximum speed limit when you see no signs, which compared to Henday would be less than 50%, 60% off the speed. So
yeah,
so you kind of like to roam and just kind of
lone wolf mentality, same thing, right? Just usually alone, usually wherever I can be quiet.
Okay. What about you, Kush?
Same question.
Yeah.
I don't have a spot that I like to.
What about
chill.
okay? So Malik has just said he likes to be around the city by saying Henday. He likes to perimeter. He likes to be that wolf that roams the perimeter. So
well, one thing I really started enjoying doing was biking. That was like, and it doesn't matter where. I just like getting out and biking, because I would bark in my area a lot, and like even seeing the same things, that didn't really bother me. It's still always like nice.
Yeah.
And then even going different parts of Edmonton, like in downtown. So just getting out, hopping on a bike, getting that fresh breeze smacking you in the face, or even if it's a hot day, whatever.
Yeah.
Because the city has a lot to kind of visually kind of stimulate you. There is a lot, like as much as people want to hate on Edmonton, it is beautiful in a lot of different areas. And just getting that exercise, that helps clear your mind too. And then a lot of the time I'll be with somebody, right? So for me, it's not physically locations. Sometimes it's having that companionship. That's always been what it is for me to get out and having comfort. It's with people, right? Even when I was working remotely, I would go to a coffee shop. I didn't care what coffee shop it was. I wasn't tied to like the Starbucks or Timmy's or anything. But then when I took somebody and I worked with them together, like that was always kind of more fulfilling for me, because I kind of need some social balance, and that energy's in my life. So like meeting up with friends has always been something in whatever medium that's been important to me. And I've done a lot of that throughout the city in various places.
So both of you like to roam. Like you're not staple, like in sitting in one area or one sort of.
No, I can. Like I can
area.
lay down. I can literally lay down in like our backyard, for example. But it's I'm not tied to a spot where it fulfills me, right? And then like even if we're gonna, can I go outside the city?
No.
Okay. Then never mind.
Okay. Then so for me, I'm gonna pick generally the south, including the River Valley, and south. So everything that goes from downtown, edge of downtown south up until about, I would say 80 to 79th Ave. That sort of stretch, that old Edmonton, that part where two cities, which was Edmonton and Strathcona, met. Strathcona was always south of the river. Edmonton was north of the river. Old history there. But you know, that sort of old vibe where that energy, I feel energy there from like just the vibe, you know, it's like a good energy I like. And just a hustle bustle, walking around, independent stores, but it's still tied to that area. That's sort of my go-to spot. There's water there with the river valley, even it may be really dirty, but architecture,
nice.
nature, a little mix of everything.
Yeah.
So it was a random question. I wasn't expecting some sort of like Zen level answers, but you guys.
Well, if we're talking about Alberta, it's anywhere in mountains or nature.
Well, Alberta is a beautiful province for that reason, geographic reasons. I mean,
breaking news: Kush likes nature.
Oh,
yeah, I totally didn't do
really?
3 hikes this weekend.
But so you guys have your answer was low key. Your favorite place is technically your brain. It's a state of mind, and for me, it's also like that was low key what I was trying to get out of people, to see if they're actually state of mind people or like tied to something people, and that means you're. I guess I would argue that means you're free.
Wow.